Big news from Team Anthropic. Opus 4.6 just dropped, and it will prove to be their magnum opus model, at least for now, until they release Opus 5.0 in the near future. I've asked Claude Opus 4.6 to summarize its own press release. Now, with a 1 million token context window, 76% retrieval accuracy at 1 million tokens versus 18.5% on Sonnet 4.5. Also improved its coding benchmarks, longer agentic sessions, multi-step tasks without losing focus. It's now number 1 on the humanities last exam. It also beats OpenAI's GPT 5.2 and number 1 on browser comp and 2 times improvement over Opus 4.5 biology, chemistry, and life sciences. There's some new developer features here. Adaptive thinking and effort controls are now giving you 4 different levels. This way you can tune speed versus intelligence and test that out. Compaction auto-summarizes old context. Agents can run longer and is also releasing agent teams and Claude codes. You can now spin up parallel agents that coordinate autonomously, which is very nice. There's also product updates in Claude and Excel and PowerPoint. In my chat thread, I asked it to break it down, make it HTML, and this is that artifact here, which I'm previewing. Now, how can I get Claude and PowerPoint and have it create slides for my video? It's saying options are just asking Claude.ai where I am in this particular screen and do it for me. Get the new research preview inside of PowerPoint, use co-work inside of Claude Desktop to generate the slides and create a PowerPoint file, or use the API with agent skills. So for option 2, how do I get it inside of PowerPoint? And it's saying new today, the official Anthropic Claude and PowerPoint, and it gives the URL. That is how I found the URL using Opus 4.6 for search, and it found the correct and up-to-date information. I'm also on the max plan. I am maxing out Claude every day and trying to avoid extra usage if possible and dealing with shutdown windows for further use. It led me down the path of accessing here. Once I fill my details, it's saying that it's taken me to Claude by Anthropic. Now I can open Claude by Anthropic. It has started a presentation for me in order to communicate. It's wanting to confirm that I want to allow and continue the use of Claude inside of PowerPoint. This will allow Microsoft Office to connect to my Claude chat account, and that account will be used to access Anthropic profile information, contribute to your Claude subscription usage. You can leverage your existing subscription and not have to be making API calls and worried much about burning tokens. This uses your existing subscription, whatever it may be. It can upload files on your behalf and access profile information for all members in your organization. This is just an individual account for myself and not my team. I'm going to authorize this, and then I'm going to prompt it to open Microsoft PowerPoint app. And it's going to redirect here. Now it's trying to pinpoint some things around my profile, what I'm interested in, or how I'm wanting to use Claude inside of PowerPoint. Oftentimes I want to select multiples of these, but this helps tailor Claude to your needs. I'm going to select product management. That seems to be one of the areas where people that are not AI resistant reside in. Lean into that and click next. And then it's giving me an overview or getting started as to things that Claude can do inside of PowerPoint. You can compare and contrast this and test this out against Copilot, which is Microsoft's own native solution that integrates with PowerPoint. I'll be doing videos comparing and contrasting those in the near future. My hunch is that Claude will be more powerful than Copilot, even though it's a third-party app. I find that Claude is better inside of Excel than Copilot and can do more for me. Now, pinpoint editing, Claude knows which shape, text, or chart you've selected. You can make granular edits, but has that contextual information so that if I'm working inside of a PowerPoint slide, it knows that which I'm highlighting or clicking on, and I don't have to explain it. And it can work with my templates. Claude reads and works off your templates directly. And it can add fully editable charts and tables. Claude creates native elements you can tweak, resize, and restyle yourself. And then it's warning me that I'm entering a research preview experience, and this is early beta. Features can and will change. Also important to keep in mind is that malicious actions can hide instructions in websites, emails, and documents that trick AI into taking harmful actions without your knowledge. But you want to watch out for using other PowerPoint slides when you're using Claude, because they may do prompt injections that are hidden inside of your PowerPoint files. You can always click Learn More to learn how to harden yourself against these prompt injection techniques and to be aware of these ways of modern day phishing through AI in order to prevent that. So now I'm going to click I understand. Now this is the Claude interface, which is the right, maybe 1/5 of the screen, and the rest is devoted to this particular PowerPoint. And so now there's different settings for ask before edits or accept all edits. So you can prompt and have it do its thing, or instead ask before edits. That's kind of like planning mode, and then it'll confirm, or you can further tweak or refine before it makes the edits. I'm going to do ask before edits. You can also click the plus sign to add files or photos, or to allow search the web, which is selected by default. I'm wanting it to search the web, find the latest news, and then generate this presentation. But before doing so, ask me for confirmation. Here you see the reasoning. It's checking what's happening with Claude's latest release, finding some different results. So I'm not necessarily wanting to keep the existing style. It's warning me for data loss. Do you want to dangerously allow data loss all the time automatically? I can do that, but you're to blame. Now it's going to work through this inside of PowerPoint. This is getting deep inside of the workflow of Office now. We're seeing Excel and PowerPoint having Claude plugins, and next up should be Word. I look forward to that. The days of having boring presentations should and will be over. The skills gap for those that are resistant to AI versus those that are leaning into it and figuring out how to leverage it to maximize their own potential will be the key differentiator. I'm excited about this larger context window made by Opus 4.6, and then also the newer features with Claude in general, as far as coming to tools that are used every day in offices across the globe, such as PowerPoint and Excel, and more coming soon. This gives you a glimpse of how this can be done. My agent is working for me, not a co-pilot, but an agent taking what I am wanting and creating it for me. And I don't need to know how to do this. There are people out there saying that everyone needs to learn how to code, or everyone may need to learn how to do PowerPoint, but that is not the case. We know what good looks like. We know what done looks like. We can prompt our way there and get 90% of the way there and iterate and refine and improve, and it'll give us what we need. And you can always ask the agent to test these things for you or to find opportunities for improvement. You could do this inside of PowerPoint with Claude plugin, or you could go into Claude Code or Claude Cowork or Claude Desktop or ChatGPT or Gemini. Feed it this PowerPoint presentation, offer recommendations and improvements, then come back here, feed those instructions into Claude inside of PowerPoint, and make it there locally on your machine. Now we see it adding slides, and I'll peruse this as well as creating up to slide 5. This is very visually compelling. What is Claude Opus 4.6? It's highlighting the big takeaways, 1 million token context, state-of-the-art coding score, the output tokens doubling the previous max, and now beating GPT 5.2 by 144 points, number 1 on this particular evaluation. And then for developers, it's breaking down and it's leveraging 4.6 and keeping track of what needs to be done. It's not drifting. It is taking that general audience video request and identifying for developers, agent teams, and Claude Code, and adaptive thinking with 4 effort levels and fine-grained cost versus quality trade-offs. The API, quick reference, and the model ID, those are things that developers are going to need. Even non-coders who know how to use Claude Code effectively. For business leaders, enterprise-ready AI that works, financial analysis, enterprise workflows, and legal intelligence. I know right now I'll be using this for any future lessons that I create that are especially more conceptual in nature, that are trying to convey concepts instead of a click path, which always churns and changes because these tools are always changing. And so I am trying to elevate up conceptually and out of the tool churn layer up to the conceptual layer. For me, this is massively huge. If you're a creator, if you're a YouTuber, if you're an online instructor like myself, really lean into these tools that can save you a ton of time. For everyday users, AI that fits into your workday, Claude and PowerPoint, new Claude Cowork integration, customizable plugins for specific workflows. Here, it's complete with my 8-slide deck. It's giving me kind of a post-mortem of the work that it's done on slide 5, and it's saying here, slide 5 selected, and one shape is selected. It is this square. I could ask it in this particular context to make that a gray background, for example. So now we don't need to worry about where to click. We can do this conversationally. We become conversational coders, conversational designers, using natural language. It's multilingual, so I can say either with my microphone or type, make this square light gray with dark text and hit enter. It's going to know what I'm talking about because it has context of where I had clicked. Now it's changing the background and now it needs to change the text to darker. How many clicks is this saving me and how much angst is this saving me? Because what happens, and I hate this, is when you change or you're in the wrong tab, it's like, how do I change the font? How do I change the style? Well, you just have to know you got to click on home. And then it's like, okay, we could change the font throughout the entire presentation to align with our own color schemes, our own media guide, and marketing is going to love this. The implications are immense. And you could also apply different marketing frameworks to make this more of a sales proposition. So I'm taking this to the next level now. Now take these findings from this release and create a new slide deck / quasi pitch deck that has the goal of converting users in these contexts and roles over to Claude from ChatGPT and leverage the AIDA marketing framework, adhere to Anthropic branding and design styles, and make this aligned with Anthropic's vision and mission. So now it's doing the research on the vision and the mission. Now it has those brand details. It's pulling in the colors. These are all the RGB or hex values for their different colors. Discerning which fonts they use, their style, their mission. So before I clear this, I want to save this. I'm going to go in, and you can always take over at any time. This is another core distinction with agentic workflows. You are the human at the helm. You're not the human in the loop. Human in the loop delegates you bottom rung, but human at the helm means you are in control. You can always stop. The machines are not going to take over. Click save here. I'm going to do a save as. It's saying it can't save because it is currently read-only. So there I've done a save as. I saved that version. So now I'm going to allow it to start a new presentation. I've saved locally, kind of a pill and stick approach. I'm going to peel that off, save that locally. And now in its current workspace, if I hadn't saved, I would have lost what I had. Okay. So now starting by doing the style over the substance first, it is setting the theme, the master theme. So this is going to start looking more team Anthropic, more Claude-like. And the ADA marketing framework is attention, interest, desire, and then action. And that is a stalwart of really long sales pages. And you've been the consumer of those, whether you realize it or not. It's an established framework to grab your attention, first of all, top of scroll, then to pique your interest and curiosity, a lot of times leading with a question. Then it breeds a desire and those sorts of things. So now this would be a presentation that potentially Team Anthropic could create using Claude Opus 4.6 to encourage people to switch from ChatGPT to Claude. Why the world's best teams are moving to Claude. Helpful, harmless, honest, built to serve humanity's long-term well-being. Claude by Anthropic. So now starting to build out the slides. I'm going to try and peruse these as it goes. So here's the attention. It's really getting on the nose with that AIDA framework. It's important to understand marketing frameworks, more important than understanding the ability to code and this false belief that everyone needs to know how to code. You need to know how to grab attention. You know how to attract attention and then spark interest. Meet Claude Opus 4.6. If this is too on the nose for the actual presentation, remove those AIDA markers on the slides. We don't want to reveal the social engineering that we're doing behind the scenes through our marketing mechanisms. I think here for normies, it might be good to include an MCR V2 score explaining what that is. Here it is doing the dark and light, and that is kind of hard to read, so I would want to improve that. But the desire for developers, and this is breaking down by job role, to spark interest or desire for developers. This would be more of an internal communications thing for Team Anthropic, how they could communicate for converting developers over to Claude Code. And the desire for business leaders, financial analysis, legal intelligence, and workflow automation. Those are the big three. In business realms is the ROI or the financial side, the legal and trust side of things, and the workflow automation. This is a workflow that's being demonstrated right now before our very eyes using Claude Opus 4.6. So now, desire for everyday users, Claude and PowerPoint and co-work. These are concerns for those familiar with Excel or PowerPoint. They use Microsoft Office. These are new exposure points and entry points. We've gone from the tip of the spear to the early adopters to reaching the mainstream, and that is what is happening now for Claude. This is history repeating itself. The prior date before February 5th, 2026, that is of importance, was when ChatGPT was first released on November 30th of 2022. Now this is reaching the masses because they're going to be able to use Claude and become familiar with Claude inside of PowerPoint. The beauty of this is that this can happen in the background while you're working on other things. So pricing that makes switching easy. It's noting that Pro is the same price as ChatGPT Plus, and then Team or Enterprise, they don't have on here Max. And I could always take over or tell it to stop if I so desired. But let's move on to why leaders are switching. Number one, on these different metrics here, which would be important. And now it's going to a darker theme. For the action, this is the final step of the ADA framework. Start using Claude today. This is the call to action. But this gives you a glimpse of how AI tools such as Claude can work and operate inside of everyday tools as well, like PowerPoint. Be sure and subscribe, like, etc. You know what to do. And if you're not sure, that's Claude or your AI tool of choice. I encourage you to be AI aware and AI agnostic and lean into AI, or AI will lean into you.